All right, Larry Kudlow, here we are. You're on the show, Larry, and you got a question to answer. Will Biden grow the economy from the middle out? I don't know what that means. Can you explain it?
I don't know what it means. I mean, I have no idea. Here's what I know.
Next.
I mean, I have no idea what it means. Sorry. I still don't know what it means. That was early this morning. Here we are in the late afternoon. Folks, I don't know what Bidenomics means. Middle in, lower out, up or down. Anyway, I'm calling for help from my pal Steve Moore. He's going to help me figure it out. FreedomWorks and Committee to Unleash Prosperity and Govzilla and his radio show, More Money. Steve, in all honesty, we have a sound. Here's what Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary, here's her rendition of what Bidenomics supposedly means. Take a quick listen.
Americans feel better about their personal finances. That is important. When you think about wages are going up, when you think about the really good paying, millions of good paying jobs, that union jobs that his policies are going to create. I mean, look, we believe Reaganomics doesn't work. We've been very clear. We believe that a trickle-down economy doesn't work. It has not worked. That is shown to be the case for decades now. Yeah,
sure it is. So I just want to, courtesy of one of our ace producers, when Ronald Reagan slashed tax rates, right, they're beating up on Reaganomics, right? The first year after the tax cuts, the economy grew by 4.6%. The second year after the tax cuts, the economy grew by 7.2%. In Joe Biden's second year in office, the economy grew by 0.9%, and it's headed for about 1% stagnation this year. And I don't understand. Middle in, lower up, up or down. What are they talking about?
Yeah, I love those attacks against Reaganomics. You know, it was such a close election, remember, in 1984, when I think Reagan won, what was it, 49 states? Yes. In the biggest landslide ever. I think the American people really liked what happened in Reaganomics, and you're right, the economy boomed. Where to start? I would say that this really started under Obama, where you had 8 years of a terrible economy. Let's face it, the economy performed really poorly with this massive tax and spend and redistribute. And then we get this new president, Donald Trump. And by the way, as you know, Larry, I wrote the book called Trumponomics, which you had a big part of. And what was that about? It was about cutting tax rates. It was deregulating the economy, better trade deals. It was about producing American energy. Remember, we used to talk to Trump about making America energy independence, which happened. And what did we have? We had an economic boom under Trump and a $6,000 per household increase in real incomes, which is a phenomenal performance. And then Biden comes in, he doubled down on Obamanomics with massive amounts of spending and debt. And it's how often do you hear Joe Biden talk about wealth creation? He doesn't. He talks about wealth redistribution. The other day, Corinne was talking about how they think that profits are too high.
Yes.
You know,
oh, yes, they're against profits.
High. You know, Larry, I think you were the one who told me, I mean, you've made this saying famous, that profits are the mother's milk of the stock market.
Yes.
How are you going to have a thriving economy without profitable businesses?
And the lifeblood of the economy. You cannot have a capitalist economy without profits. So they're now attacking profits. You're exactly right. But look, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Under Biden and all of his spending, taxing, and regulating, I mean, look, this is Bidenomics. Bidenomics is spending, taxing, regulating. Bidenomics is what Steve Forbes calls modern socialism through the welfare, through the regulatory state. Newt Gingrich calls it big government socialism. The point is, he's got 1% growth. The consumer price index has gone up 15.6%. Real wages continue to fall. I think they're down 26 straight months. And that's Bidenomics. In other words, it didn't work. It didn't work. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. It did not work. I mean, that's the one thing they won't talk about.
71% of Americans think the economy is headed in the wrong direction. Under Trump, 71% of Americans said the economy was headed in the right direction. So I don't get where they get this idea of people are feeling better about their economic condition. For, I think the number is 22 out of the last 25 months, the consumer price index has exceeded the amount of increase in wages and salaries. And that means people get poorer every month. And people are, you said it very well, Larry, people are kind of angry right now about what's going on in the country.
They're not happy.
Feeling not confident about the direction of the economy because they have big debt themselves, and then you got a $6 trillion national debt. Let's get back to Reaganomics and Trumponomics. It worked.
Speaking of 71%, coincidentally use those. We have a chart. There's a New York Federal Reserve model which predicts the economy based on the yield curve, Treasury yield curve.
Yeah.
And short rates are so much higher than long rates today. This model is, I don't know, we may or may not have a chart to put up on the full screen, but I would just say the model is now predicting through May of 2023 a 71% probability of recession in the next year. Now, you can't forecast this stuff with precision. I don't know. The model itself has a fabulous track record. It's not my model. It's the New York Fed's model by a very smart guy who's now teaching economics in upstate New York. The point is, again, you're at rock bottom growth, stagnation. You still have high inflation. People have suffered through that real wage decline. And the probability of recession is very high. Reagan didn't have a probability of recession. Reagan had massive growth. I believe from 82 through 89, Reagan's term, the economy grew by about 5.5%, almost 6% per year on average. Right. We're nowhere near that now. So who's talking about Bidenomics?
Well, first, I'm not going to call a recession because I don't know where the economy is headed. I do know this, that if you look at all of the policies that are being put in place, they're all weights on the back of the economy. Now, you and I believe this is an incredibly resilient economy. We have great businessmen and women who find ways to grow the economy, even though government does everything they can to impede it. But my gosh, I mean, think of how well we'd be doing right now. I mean, this is what keeps me up at night. If we had just stuck with Trump's policies that you would put in place, we wouldn't be talking about 1% growth. We'd be talking about 3% growth. We'd be talking about an economic boom. COVID ended 2 years ago. They're still acting like we're in an economic crisis. We're not. We should be booming. And the problem is, Larry, when we get it wrong in America, which we're getting it wrong now under Biden, the rest of the world goes to hell as well.
Last point that I love, USA is growing at 1%. Canada is growing at 3%. Yeah. Even Justin
That's
Trudeau.
Pretty bad. When we're more socialist than Canada, that's pretty bad.
Steve Moore, thank you ever so much. We appreciate it. Defining Bidenomics.